Imagine dinner with no plate, no fork, and 8 strangers reaching into the same food with their hands. Your brain screams, nope. But Ethiopia didn't fail to invent forks. They engineered a meal that forces bonding, equality, and trust on purpose. Stay, because one gesture at this table is considered the deepest form of love, and it changes everything. Here's what most people get wrong about Ethiopian eating culture. When outsiders see 10 people sharing one plate with their hands, the immediate reaction is usually about hygiene, or poverty, or tradition that simply hasn't caught up yet. That reaction is completely understandable and completely wrong. What you're actually looking at is one of the most sophisticated social technologies ever developed by any culture on Earth. And once you understand the logic behind it, you'll never see a shared meal the same way again. Ethiopia is home to over 120 million people. According to the World Bank, it's one of the oldest continuously inhabited places on the planet, with a civilization stretching back over 3,000 years. This isn't a country that forgot to invent forks. They engineered a meal that forces bonding, equality, and trust on purpose. This is a country that looked at forks, understood them, and chose something else entirely. So what did they choose? And why does it matter? Here's what we're going to unpack: the ancient philosophy hiding inside this eating ritual, the specific psychological effect it creates between people, the one gesture inside this tradition that is considered the deepest expression of love in Ethiopian culture, and why modern science is now proving this 3,000-year-old ritual was right all along. Let's start with the food itself, because you cannot understand the ritual without understanding what's on that single shared plate. The centerpiece of every Ethiopian meal is injera. It's a large, spongy flatbread made from a grain called teff. And it's not just food. It is the plate, the utensil, and the meal all at once. Injera covers the entire eating surface. Stews, vegetables, and meats, called wat, get piled directly on top of it. You tear off a piece of injera with your right hand, and you use that piece to scoop up whatever you want. No fork required, no plate required. Nothing between your hand and the food. Now here's where it gets fascinating. Wise athletes prioritize this central tech like a soldier, because when one piece of bread is the plate for everyone at the table, something remarkable happens. Nobody can eat alone. Physically impossible. You are connected to every person at that table, whether you like it or not. And that forced connection, that's exactly where this story gets interesting. But wait, there's something even more specific happening inside this ritual, something with a name, and that name reveals the entire emotional architecture of Ethiopian dining culture. The gesture is called Gursha, and once you learn what it means, you'll understand why Ethiopian food culture is genuinely unlike anything else on the planet. Gursha is when you take a piece of injera, load it with the best food on the plate, and feed it directly into someone else's mouth with your own hand. Not onto their plate, not beside them, into their mouth, with your hand. In Western culture, that level of physical intimacy is reserved for parents feeding toddlers or romantic partners. But in Ethiopia, you perform Gursha for your closest friends, honored guests, family members, anyone you want to show deep respect and affection toward. According to Ethiopian cultural researchers at Addis Ababa University, the size of the Gursha matters enormously. A large Gursha signals great love and respect. Refusing a Gursha is considered genuinely offensive, like pushing away someone's extended hand during a handshake. What makes this psychologically extraordinary is what it requires. To give someone Gursha, you have to pay attention to them. You have to notice what they like on the plate. You have to reach across the cable and make yourself vulnerable. You can't perform this ritual while staring at your phone. You cannot be distracted. The act of eating literally demands your full presence with another human being. Modern psychology has a term for this: co-regulation, the idea that humans emotionally synchronize when they share physical experiences. A 2017 study from the University of Oxford found that people who eat together, especially when sharing food directly, report significantly higher feelings of social bonding and trust than people who eat the same food separately. Ethiopia built that psychology into the architecture of every meal, 3,000 years before Oxford ran that experiment. Still, you might be asking, what about hygiene? It's a fair question. Let's answer it honestly. Ethiopian dining culture has one absolute, non-negotiable rule. You always eat with your right hand, never the left. This isn't arbitrary. Across Ethiopian, Middle Eastern, and many South Asian cultures, the left hand is traditionally reserved for personal hygiene. The right hand is the clean hand, the social hand, the hand you use to greet people, to give gifts, and, yes, to share food. This creates a clear hygiene boundary that has existed for millennia. And when you combine the right-hand rule with the fermentation process of injera itself, which has a naturally acidic pH that purportedly inhibits certain bacterial growth, the tradition holds up under modern scrutiny far better than critics expect. But there's a deeper layer here that most people completely miss. The one-plate system isn't just about connection. It's also about equality. When everyone eats from the same plate, there is no better portion reserved for the most important person. There is no smaller serving for the less honored guest. According to Ethiopian food historian Dr. Sede Alehen, the shared plate communicates a radical idea. At this table, we are the same. In a country that has experienced extraordinary economic hardship and social division, that message, repeated at every single meal, every single day, carries remarkable weight. Think about that. Every meal is a daily rehearsal of equality. Now here's the part that changes how you see your own dinner table, and it might surprise you. Here's a striking data point. According to a 2023 Gallup Global Emotions Report, loneliness levels in high-income countries, places with individual plates, separate meals, and dining alone in front of screens, are measurably higher than in many communal eating cultures. The United States reports that 61% of adults feel lonely, according to a Cigna survey. Meanwhile, communal eating cultures consistently report stronger family cohesion and social trust. Correlation isn't causation. Life is complicated, and many factors drive loneliness, but the pattern is impossible to ignore. Ethiopia didn't accidentally land on a ritual that fights disconnection. The ritual was engineered over thousands of years to make loneliness structurally difficult. You cannot eat injera alone, in silence, with your eyes down, and still participate in the culture. The food itself won't let you, and maybe that's the most quietly radical thing about it. In a world where the average American reportedly spends 67% of meals eating alone, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, Ethiopia's answer is to make the meal physically inseparable from the people around you. The plate is the relationship. The food is the conversation. The hand that feeds you is the person who loves you. That's not a tradition that hasn't caught up with the modern world. That's a tradition the modern world hasn't caught up with yet. So here's your question for today, and I genuinely want to know your answer. When was the last time you shared a meal so closely with someone that you felt truly connected? Drop it in the comments below. If this video made you see food differently, and next, we're revealing why Spain eats dinner at 10 p.m. and somehow lives 5 years longer because of it. That one will genuinely surprise you.